Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a simple truth. Your life doesn't change in a year. It changes in a day, repeated 30 times. And that's what I want to talk to you about. When we think of success, we imagine big wins, promotions, millions, breakthroughs. But the people who get there, they don't rely on luck. They rely on discipline. They rely on daily habits. Today, I will give you 5 habits, not 10, not 20, just 5. Do them every day, do them seriously, and I promise in 30 days you will not recognize the person in the mirror. Most people open their eyes in the morning and instantly reach for their phones. They scroll through messages, check social media, dive into news headlines, letting the world decide how they feel before they've even had time to breathe. That's not waking up with purpose. That's waking up with distraction. The difference might seem small, but over time, it's the difference between a life you lead and a life that leads you. Waking up with purpose means you own your morning, not borrow it from routine. It means that the very first few minutes of your day are aligned with your why, your deeper reason for doing what you do. It doesn't mean you have to wake up at 4 a.m. It doesn't mean you need a fancy ritual with matcha tea and yoga and cold plunges, unless that's what drives you. Waking up with purpose means that before the world gets a piece of you, you connect with yourself. It starts the night before. Most people think a productive day starts in the morning. It doesn't. It begins with how you close your previous day. If you go to bed without intention, you wake up into chaos. A simple action like setting your intentions before sleeping, writing down what matters tomorrow, visualizing how you want to show up, gives your mind something to focus on as you rest. While you sleep, your subconscious works on what you told it was important. Then comes the moment your eyes open, and here's where the power is. Don't just roll out of bed, sit up, breathe, pause. Ask yourself, why am I waking up today? What do I want to move forward? Who do I want to become by tonight? These questions pull you out of autopilot. They make you the author of your day. Now imagine this. 2 people wake up at 6:30 a.m. One of them jumps into emails, argues with traffic, shows up to work stressed. The other wakes up, spends 10 minutes visualizing their goals, moves their body, fuels their mind, and sets one clear target for the day. They both work the same job, but give them 30 days. You'll see 2 completely different lives. One is surviving, the other is transforming. A purposeful morning doesn't need hours. You only need a window of time where you're not reacting, you're directing. Start small. 10 minutes of quiet, 5 minutes of gratitude, 1 page of journaling, even something as simple as drinking water, standing tall, and saying out loud, "Today I move 1 step closer to who I want to become." It's not the ritual, it's the intention behind the ritual that gives it power. And don't confuse movement with meaning. Waking up early doesn't automatically mean you're living with purpose. There are plenty of people who rise before dawn and still wander through the day like ghosts, checking boxes, going through motions. Purpose is not about being busy. It's about being clear. Clear on what matters, clear on what doesn't, clear on who you're becoming. You might ask, what if I don't know my purpose yet? That's okay. Purpose isn't always this big dramatic thing. It's not only for entrepreneurs or artists or world leaders. Purpose can be quiet. It can be as simple as wanting to become more confident, a better parent, more financially stable, or just more present. The key is to choose something that matters to you and remind yourself of it every single morning. Because when you wake up without intention, you wake up into someone else's agenda, the companies, societies, the algorithms. But when you wake up with purpose, even a difficult day becomes meaningful. You're not just getting through it, you're building something inside it. Purpose gives you posture, it gives your day weight. It makes every hour count for something. It aligns your time with your values. It turns the ordinary into the intentional. It moves your life from repetition to elevation. The most powerful people in the world are not the ones who know everything. They are the ones who keep learning no matter what. They learn when they win, they learn when they fail, and they especially learn when nothing seems to be happening. Learning is not just an activity, it's a mindset. A relentless learner doesn't wait for school, courses, or certifications. They treat every moment, every experience, every mistake as a classroom. In today's world, not learning is a choice. Everything you need to grow is at your fingertips. Free articles, videos, podcasts, books, interviews, lectures, all accessible. You don't need a professor or permission, you need hunger. That's what separates the average from the extraordinary. The average learns only when required. The extraordinary learn relentlessly because they know something others forget. The world is changing, and they need to keep changing with it. You see, when most people finish school, they think they're done. They stop reading, they stop asking questions, they stop growing. But the real world is not about grades, it's about growth. And growth only happens when you're willing to say, I don't know enough yet, but I'm ready to learn. You don't have to read 10 books a week or spend hours in libraries. Even 15 minutes a day adds up. A few pages of a powerful book, a thought-provoking podcast during your commute, a 5-minute YouTube clip that changes the way you think. The key is not quantity, it's consistency. When you learn something new every single day, your brain starts connecting ideas faster. You start seeing patterns others miss. You start making decisions with more clarity. And it's not just about knowledge, it's about application. Learning something is only half the equation. The other half is using it. That's where transformation happens. Relentless learners don't just collect information like trophies, they apply it. They test ideas, they make mistakes, they tweak and try again. Because learning isn't about being right, it's about being ready. Ready to grow, ready to adapt, ready to act. Some people say they don't have time to learn, but they have time to scroll, to binge, to gossip, to sit in traffic doing nothing. The truth is, learning doesn't require time. It requires priority. If something matters to you, you make room for it. If growth matters, you find your pockets. You listen while you walk. You read while you wait. You learn while others complain. And here's the thing, the more you learn, the more confident you become. Not arrogant, confident, because confidence doesn't come from pretending to know everything. It comes from knowing that you can figure things out, that you have the ability to learn anything you need to, that you are never stuck because knowledge is the key that opens every door. The most dangerous mindset is thinking you already know enough. That's when your growth stops. That's when your value plateaus. But when you stay curious, you stay alive, you stay in motion, and people notice. They want to work with you, learn from you, grow with you, because learners are leaders, not because of a title, but because they carry insight. They bring ideas to the table. They challenge outdated thinking. They don't just accept what is, they imagine what could be. Relentless learners don't just read books and articles. They study people. They ask better questions. They watch how others lead, how they fail, how they bounce back. They reflect on their own behaviors. Every day becomes data. Every conversation becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes a teacher. They understand that learning is not an event. It's a lifestyle, a way of thinking, a daily decision to get better, even if only by 1%. Success does not begin with talent or luck or timing. It begins with the mind. The thoughts you feed, the beliefs you entertain, and the emotions you allow to guide you form the blueprint of your life. And yet most people spend more time planning their vacations than mastering their inner world. They let fear, doubt, frustration, and insecurity dictate their days. The mind, when left undisciplined, becomes a loud, chaotic place. But when trained, it becomes the sharpest tool in your arsenal. Disciplining your mind doesn't mean pretending to be positive all the time. It means becoming aware of your thoughts, noticing when you spiral into negativity, catching yourself when you drift into comparison, recognizing the internal stories that sabotage your progress. It's not about perfection, it's about intervention, the ability to stop the mental loop and choose a better one. That's where discipline begins. Start by observing your inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself matters more than the way anyone else speaks to you. If your internal voice is constantly telling you that you're not good enough, not ready, or always falling short, that becomes your reality. But the moment you begin to challenge those thoughts, to say, that's not true, that's just a fear, not a fact, you shift from being a prisoner of your mind to the master of it. One of the most powerful tools to build mental discipline is gratitude. Not the fluffy, superficial kind, but real, grounded, intentional gratitude. When you wake up in the morning and force your mind to find three things to be grateful for, even when you're stressed or struggling, you train it to look for strength instead of scarcity. Gratitude rewires your focus. It doesn't remove problems, but it gives you the emotional armor to face them with clarity. Another tool is journaling, not to impress anyone, not for social media, just for yourself. A journal is a mirror for the mind. When you write, you release. You clarify what you think and feel. You can identify patterns. You can spot the lies you've been telling yourself. And the more honest you are on the page, the more control you gain in life. Some days you write a sentence, other days a page. It doesn't matter how much, it matters that you show up. Meditation is also a weapon, not just for calm, but for control. People think meditation is about emptying the mind. It's not. It's about watching the mind without getting dragged around by it. Even 5 minutes a day builds discipline. You sit, you breathe, and you observe your thoughts like clouds passing. You stop identifying with every emotion, every thought, every fear. Over time, you realize you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. Mental discipline is also about choosing your inputs. What you read, what you watch, who you listen to, all of it shapes your thinking. If you constantly feed your brain negativity, drama, and distraction, don't be surprised when your mind feels chaotic and unmotivated. You have to protect your mental diet the same way you protect your physical one. Choose content that builds you. Choose conversations that challenge you. Choose environments that support you. Finally, mental discipline means doing the things you don't feel like doing, waking up early when your body wants to sleep, working on your goals when your mind wants comfort, saying no to distractions when your emotions crave escape. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about proving to yourself that your values are stronger than your moods. The more you choose long-term clarity over short-term comfort, the more powerful your mind becomes. Ideas are everywhere. Dreams are common. Plans are cheap. But execution, consistent, relentless execution, is what turns imagination into results. The difference between the person who succeeds and the one who stays stuck is rarely about intelligence, resources, or background. It comes down to who does the work even when it's boring, uncomfortable, inconvenient, or invisible, especially when it's invisible. Execution is not about perfection, it's about momentum. Most people wait for the perfect plan, the perfect conditions, the perfect time to begin. But while they wait, someone else with half the resources and none of the certainty is already making progress. Relentless execution means starting before you're ready, acting before you're fully confident, and moving even when the path ahead isn't clear, because clarity often comes after action, not before it. Every single day, you're given the same currency as the most successful people on earth, time. The question is, what do you do with it? You can spend hours reading, learning, planning, and that's valuable. But if you're not applying what you learn, you're just getting smarter at standing still. Relentless executors close the gap between knowing and doing. They don't just consume, they convert knowledge into action fast. Action doesn't always mean massive leaps. Often it's small, simple tasks repeated with intensity and intention. Writing one paragraph, making one call, sending one email, finishing one page, making one decision. The goal is not to do everything today, but to do something that moves you forward. You don't climb mountains in a single jump. You climb them with relentless, step-by-step execution. Every single step counts, and most people give up because they underestimate the value of that next small step. The discipline to execute is also the discipline to show up without applause. Most of your progress will happen in private. No one will see the early mornings, the late nights, the rejections, the rewrites, the hours spent solving problems that lead to no immediate reward. Relentless executors keep going not because the world is watching, but because they made a commitment to themselves. That commitment becomes stronger than their emotions, stronger than excuses, stronger than distractions. It's easy to execute when you're inspired, but relentless execution means you do it even when you're not, even when you're tired, even when you're doubting yourself, even when no one believes in what you're building. You train yourself to operate from principle, not mood. You stop negotiating with your goals. You treat execution like a daily ritual, not a reactive behavior. Execution also requires focus. One of the biggest killers of progress is divided attention. You start one thing, then jump to another. You begin a project, then get distracted by a new idea. Soon you're overwhelmed and nothing is finished. Relentless executors protect their focus like gold. They set priorities, block out time, eliminate distractions, and follow through. They don't multitask their dreams. They give them full effort. Another key element is speed, not rushing, but decisive, deliberate movement. When you move fast, you learn faster. You fail faster. You adjust quicker. Speed builds confidence. It builds trust in yourself. You stop fearing mistakes because every action gives you data. And with every repetition, you refine your process, your instincts, your skill. Relentless execution is not glamorous. It's not about shouting your goals or posting your hustle. It's quiet, it's methodical, it's showing up day after day and doing what needs to be done, especially when motivation fades. The people who win are not always the ones who had the best ideas. They're the ones who were willing to out-execute everyone else, even in silence, even in discomfort, even when it didn't seem like it was working. Your energy is your most valuable currency, not your time, not your money, your energy, because you can have all the time in the world, all the resources, all the opportunities, but if your energy is drained, scattered, or toxic, none of it matters. You won't execute, you won't think clearly, and you won't have the emotional stamina to deal with pressure, adversity, or growth. Protecting your energy isn't just about self-care, it's about self-respect. Most people don't lose their fire because of failure. They lose it because of leaks, small leaks, constant overthinking, endless distractions, meaningless arguments, negative people, unhealthy habits. Each one seems harmless on its own, but together they drain your mental, emotional, and even physical energy. And before you know it, you're exhausted without doing anything meaningful. You're tired not because you've done too much, but because you've carried too much that doesn't belong to you. Protecting your energy starts with boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They are a conscious decision about who and what you allow to access your mental and emotional space. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Not every problem needs your reaction. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Learning to say no without guilt is one of the highest forms of self-mastery, because every yes to something unimportant is a no to something essential. You also protect your energy by choosing your environment. The spaces you occupy affect how you think, feel, and perform. If you're surrounded by clutter, noise, drama, and chaos, don't expect peace and clarity. You need to design environments that support your highest focus and emotional state. That might mean cleaning your space, cutting back on social media, walking in nature, or simply working in silence. Energy doesn't only come from food or rest, it comes from alignment. People are another major influence on your energy. Some people charge you up, they challenge you, support you, elevate your thinking. Others drain you, not because they're bad, but because they operate from fear, scarcity, gossip, or blame. You must be intentional about who you surround yourself with. Ask yourself, who makes me better just by being around them? Who makes me feel heavier? The answer to those questions should shape your circle. Another key piece is your thought life. Most energy loss doesn't come from doing, it comes from overthinking, reliving past mistakes, imagining worst-case scenarios, judging yourself too harshly. You don't need more time or motivation, you need mental discipline, learning to redirect your thoughts, to breathe through anxiety, to reframe setbacks as lessons, gives you back hours of wasted energy. The mind can be your battery or your drain, and the difference is awareness. Your body is your foundation. If you're eating poorly, not moving, and sacrificing sleep, no amount of motivation can make up for what your nervous system is lacking. Energy is not just mental or emotional, it's biochemical. You have to treat your health like a non-negotiable. Hydration, nutrition, rest, movement, they aren't luxuries. They're your fuel. The stronger your body, the more resilience you'll have to face the stress and pressure of high performance. Then there's your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. Every time you pick up your phone without intention, scroll endlessly, watch things that add no value, argue about things that don't matter, you're spending energy. The most successful people are not just disciplined with their time, they are ruthless with their focus. They don't give energy to what doesn't build them. They don't chase every distraction. They understand that what you feed your focus, you feed your future. Energy is also about emotional regulation. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how long you dwell on it. Protecting your energy means processing your emotions without becoming a prisoner to them. It means learning how to recover quickly, to let go of things that are not yours to carry, and to return to your power without waiting for the world to give it back to you. In just 30 days, these 5 daily habits, waking up with purpose, learning relentlessly, disciplining your mind, executing with urgency, and protecting your energy, can shift the entire trajectory of your life. They don't require special talent or perfect conditions. They require consistency, self-awareness, and the willingness to take control of your mindset and actions. When practiced daily, they compound quietly but powerfully. Your focus sharpens, your confidence grows, your momentum builds. You stop reacting and start leading. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And it starts the moment you decide to commit fully and fearlessly.